Should KD be in the GOAT conversation? He himself is asking, why is he not in the GOAT conversation on everybody's list? Everybody online has been going back and forth who is, or should he not be. In my opinion on it, though, he's right to ask because his talent level is world class. He is one of the greatest players that we have ever seen. Definitive top 25. He has always been one of the greatest scorers of this generation and has been one of the second best player in the NBA for a decade plus. Has been, in some people's mind, flip-flopping as to if he's not the greatest player in basketball. We was him or LeBron, back and forth. He was definitive number 2 in most people's eyes, and some people's eyes was number 1. And after the Achilles tear, he's been playing some of the best basketball he has ever played in his career. Even better than this MVP level of play. So should he ask why he's not in the conversation? Yes, he should. Yes, he should. Fully, he has the right. That doesn't mean that he belongs there. And he doesn't belong there. When we say GOAT conversation, greatest to ever do it, we're not just talking about one of the greats. Is he a legend of basketball? We're not talking about is he one of the best players. Again, I've already said he's one of the 25 best basketball players I've ever seen. He's an all-time great. But he doesn't deserve to be in the GOAT conversation. Because the GOAT conversation, for me, if you're ranking players, the first 5 of the 10, those should be in consideration for best ever. Those 5 should be in consideration for the greatest of all time. If you aren't in that top 5 caliber, you don't deserve to be in that conversation. And Kevin Durant is not in that top 5 caliber. If you want to talk about strictly scoring, he's already in the GOAT conversation for scoring. Absolutely. Should be considered one of the greatest scorers, period. It's hard to put 5 scoring players ahead of Kevin Durant. Not just in terms of bag, but in terms of production. But in terms of all around GOAT, absolutely not. And mainly, yes, it is because of Golden State. Let's not mince words about it. It's because of Golden State. You forfeited your right to have yourself in that conversation when you went to Golden State. And no, this is not like when LeBron went to Miami. Miami was a team, I believe, under 500 when he was initially going there. And if it was just Wade and Bosh who got there and not LeBron, they wouldn't have gotten out of the second round, in my estimation, in the playoffs for the totality of their tenure together. It wouldn't have. And when LeBron came from Cleveland, Cleveland wasn't able to do anything. Cleveland had not brought any requisite talent to compete against the Boston Celtics at that point in time. He had already given his everything. He had already drugged teams that were terrible to 60-win squads by himself when that team had no business being there. And don't use that argument of the East was weak. Nah, he was on one of the weakest teams in the East, if you want to use that argument. And yet he still came out and beat up everybody. Got to the finals with a squad that had no business being there. Did it again in 2018, did he not? Dan Gilbert, the bum of an owner, didn't put anybody around him. It was necessary. Not because he couldn't do it or he didn't have the talent, but because where he was at wasn't surrounding him with the necessary ability in terms of the players to pull their weight to get over the hump. Completely different circumstance for why he left to go to Miami versus what KD did. When KD had OKC, when KD had Westbrook, had Harden, had Serge Ibaka, had Thabo Sefolosha, had Steven Adams, had a great bench, had everything, and had the Warriors on the ropes in the same situation that they had Cleveland in 2016. 3-1. And they blew it. Kevin Durant blew it. Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook didn't play the way they needed to play. They folded. And Kevin Durant folded. When he had them on the ropes, they could have gotten to a title. They had already gotten to the finals. They had matured. And then they were almost there again. One went away. Kevin Durant shrunk. Yes, he did. And then he goes to the Warriors, who already won 73 games, who already was seen as one of the best teams in the NBA, who already had won a title, who had become the defining team of a generation, of an era, with the best shooter in the world, former MVP, unanimous MVP, though that should have been LeBron earlier on, or Shaq, but Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, second best shooter in the world. Draymond Green was still putting up, hey, he could give you 20 along with great defense. And a bench and a lineup that was all phenomenal. Depth on every aspect. There's no reason that they needed you. But they beat you and then you joined them. Again, Stephen A. Smith called it the weakest move in NBA history. And it absolutely is true. Still to this day. You understand what legacy is, don't you? If you're Kevin Durant. As fans, we do. If you are a real fan, you understand that. And you understand that certain actions can both make and break your legacy. It can make and break your status. It can make and break your ability to be called something when your career is over. And when you make those moves, they will leave a mark on your legacy. And you going to Golden State nixed you, excommunicated, shunned you, negated you, blocked you from ever being considered within the GOAT conversation. Unless you did something monumental for the rest of your career, there was no way anybody was going to put you in the GOAT conversation because of what you did. And your resume, again, it's not that your resume is bad, but it's not just the move. Your resume itself isn't up to par to be considered in the GOAT. It's just not. 30-time All-Star, 4-time scoring champion, phenomenal. 2-time MVP, or excuse me, 1-time MVP, 2-time Finals MVP, 2-time NBA champion. What was it? 10-time All-NBA. We know Rookie of the Year. It's a great resume. Don't get it twisted. Absolutely, it is a phenomenal resume. NBA 75th anniversary team. It's a great resume all around. You are a great, but you nixed yourself out of being called the GOAT conversation. Because now when you put context to these accolades, like the championships and the finals MVPs, you willingly ripped away any right to have your ability to be considered the GOAT. Not a GOAT, but the GOAT. A GOAT, no problem. The GOAT, absolutely not. You went and took a route that most people would be ashamed of from a competitive standpoint. See, that's the thing. Competitiveness still means something in the legacy of your opponent. There is a reason why we have in the boxing world Sugar Ray Leonard and Sugar Ray Robinson all above Floyd Mayweather. Because when you put context behind Floyd's career, it tells a completely different tale of competitiveness. 22 beat champions, most ever in a career. No problem. Undefeated. Beat Rocky Marciano's record of 50-0 in a career. There's no disrespect. But you know we're close to the GOAT conversation. Not when contextually you had Sugar Ray Robinson over 40-0 and then lost and then revenged that loss and then went 80-0, fighting the best of his era over 7 times per opponent. Joe Louis having 22 heavyweight title defenses, all against, again, the best of the best at their prime. Ali, we can keep going. You see the trend, the context behind these achievements, and the competitiveness behind these achievements means something as to the legacy of these fighters and athletes, and with players in the NBA. Same thing applies. And you ripped out that whole conversation for yourself because you went to the best team of an era when you could have beaten them, when you had pieces, when you had a running mate, when you were still seen as the second best player in the world. And then you go pair at minimum the third best player in the world with the second best player in the world on the best team potentially of an era. You got recruited by the team that just beat you. You don't deserve to be in that conversation at all. Absolutely not. You have no right. You have a right to question, but you also have no right to act like you don't know the answer. You just answered it yourself. You just throw off, oh, just because I joined the Warriors, that takes me out. Yes, it does. Yes, absolutely, it does. No doubt about it, it does. It does 10 times over. You're the only person whose career asterisk is undeniable and is accepted by everybody in the world. Oh yeah, this brother's great. Oh, he'll never be the GOAT conversation. Oh no, absolutely not. Look at what he did. Look at how he went about winning. And since then, you ain't done nothing. Let's not forget that. It's not just the move, it's what happened after the move. Again, the only reason that you would even be put back in that conversation would be that you achieved some astronomical accolades afterwards. And you didn't. You didn't. Never won MVP again. Didn't become Defensive Player of the Year. You never got back to the finals. You did the same thing that you went and did with the Warriors. And you did that 2 more times. Hopped a team on Brooklyn, KD, Kyrie, and James Harden. Then when that didn't work out, you didn't try to stay. You jumped ship and you went and played with Bradley Beal and Devin Booker. Another big 3. And CP3 at one point in time. Here's a trend. We get player movement and player empowerment. We love it. We need it. We want it. We don't want that taken away. This is great. But also the moves that you make also define to a degree where your standing can be. It affects it. It does. And the decisions that you made and continue to make all make this absolutely irrefutable that you cannot be in the GOAT conversation. You have no ability to be in the GOAT conversation, ever. You can't. If you had went to any team except for Golden State, when you chose to leave OKC, excuse me, hey, we could be having a completely different conversation. You win a championship with any other squad, we having a whole different discussion, an entirely different discussion. You go to anybody, except for Golden State, you wouldn't have, this would not be your legacy. This is going to eat you away, ain't it? It's going to eat you up, ain't it? It's going to make you, it's going to make you fidgety. It's going to make you think. Because this is going to be something that's going to be on you for the rest of your career. And after you retire, this is going to be what's on your career now. You went and made a decision to go and face and play with Golden State when they did not need you. When they were the ultimate team to be beat. And you had a squad that could do it and almost did it. And you went and played with them to get a championship. We knew it was just to get a championship because we knew when you went there, it was unstoppable. We knew that LeBron, Wade, and Bosh was going to be a real threat when they went to the East and when they went and played together. Oh, phenomenal. It looked great. But we also knew that, okay, this looks scary, but it ain't going to be unbeatable. Because you still got Boston in their big 4, excuse me. You still had squad like Indiana, who were giving them a real run for their money. It wasn't like it was just, oh my gosh, nobody can stop them. They're most likely to win, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they weren't favored. They were. They absolutely were. They were feared. Don't get it twisted. But that doesn't change that we weren't looking at them the same way we looked at that Golden State squad. That Golden State squad is seen as the best put together team in NBA history. That Golden State squad was better than the Golden State squad that set the record for most wins in NBA history. That beat the Chicago 95-96 team. That squad beat their record and you joined them. And you got the audacity to ask, why am I not in the GOAT conversation? Just because of that old thing? Yes, because of that old thing. Because it was a priceless price to pay for the accolade that you wanted most. And it happened. You balled out. Don't get it twisted. The production was there. But the context now strips away the shine that should have been. Erodes what should have been outright adulation. We don't look at those championships with great anticipation. We look at those with a scowl. You going there brought down the championships for you. Ironically enough, just for you. We know Steph was on that squad. Dre was on that squad. Clay was on that squad. Yet we hold their championships, though they were on the same team, in higher esteem than you because of what you did. You did this. You did this. You made this. You could have said no. Draymond Green reached out to you. You could have said no. You could have said no and gone to any other organization and kept not only the competitive nature of the game well and alive for that stint in time, but also you could have gone and won with any other squad. If you weren't happy with Russell Westbrook being your running mate, plenty of other organizations that were equipped to be successful. And you chose Golden State. It is your price to pay, your burden to bear. Unless you do something astronomical for the rest of your career, you can't get back in the GOAT conversation. You can't. You ain't won one before or since. You took the easy way out. Objectively, you took the easy way out. There's no fan of yours or hater of yours that doesn't agree. Everybody knows you took the easy way out and you went to a championship guaranteed in Golden State. And because of that, we can't look at you or your career in the same way. Because right now, you have nixed any of your validity to have an opportunity to be mentioned with the Kareems, with the Jordans, with the LeBrons, with the Kobes. Greatest of all time, you have no reason. Every name I listed is closer than you, both in actual individual achievement and in legacy. You are out of contention for the GOAT conversation, and stop acting stupid because you know why.